So you've seen videos about bullet journaling and want to start your own but don't know where to begin? Well, today I'm going to show you everything you need to get started with bullet journaling in just 10 minutes. So let's jump into it. First thing you're going to need is a pen and paper or a pencil and paper. It doesn't really matter. I prefer gel pens because they're easier to erase than regular ink pens. But some people prefer pencils because they can just rub out their mistakes. Now, if you are set on using a pencil, make sure that you do invest in a good eraser because you are going to be erasing a lot. And yes, you will still see the pencil marks on the page after you erase it, but it won't be nearly as noticeable once you fill in the rest of the page. Now, when it comes to the actual paper itself, there are so many options. If you're just starting out, I recommend getting a dot grid notebook. Dot grid paper has small dots all over the page, which can help guide your writing. They also help to make your pages look nice and neat. There are also dotted lines at the top and bottom of each page to help you write evenly. You could also use graph paper, squared paper, or even lined paper if that's what you're most comfortable with. You can find bullet journal-specific paper online or at some bookstores, but I personally think it's a waste of money. Just get whatever paper you're most comfortable writing on. Some people even use loose leaf paper and 3-ring bind their pages together. So really, you can use whatever you want. Next, you'll want to decide how you're going to format your journal. This is completely up to you and how you prefer to organize things. Some people prefer a minimalist approach where they only write with black ink. Others prefer to color code their journal. When it comes to organization, there are 2 main ways that people go about it. First, you could have one notebook that is used for everything. For example, this is my bullet journal. I use it for task management, note-taking, habit tracking, gratitude logging, you name it. The second option is to have separate notebooks for different areas of your life. For example, you could have one notebook for work and another one for personal tasks. Personally, I like to do both. I have a main notebook that I use for pretty much everything. Then I also have a couple of other notebooks for things like gratitude, habits, and self-reflection. You can decide what works best for you. There is no right or wrong way to do this. The next thing you're going to need is a ruler. A clear plastic ruler is best because it's easy to line up along the edge of the page. You can also buy a transparent ruler if you want. Next, you're going to want a colored pencil or colored pens. These are completely optional. If you want a simple black and white journal, then you can skip this. But if you want to add some color to your journal, then you should definitely grab some colored pencils or pens. Next, grab some highlighters. Again, these are completely optional. You can use them to highlight important dates or tasks. But if you don't want to use highlighters, that's totally fine too. Once you have all of your supplies gathered, it's time to start your journal. First, fold your paper in half and crease it. Open it up and then rotate it 90 degrees. Fold it in half again and crease it. Now open it up and you should have 4 sections. Go ahead and erase the lines in the middle. This is what your paper should look like now. Now open it up so that the crease is at the top and bottom. You're going to notice that there are little indentations along the crease. Grab your ruler and line it up along the edge of the page. Mark a line on each side of the paper using your pencil. Now close the book and repeat the same steps on the other side. Open it back up and you should have 2 lines running down the center of the page. Now, erase those lines and you are ready to start journaling. Personally, I like to start off with a title page. You could also call this a cover page or a table of contents page. I like to decorate mine a little bit, but you can keep yours plain if you want. I'm going to go ahead and add some quotes to mine. Now I flip the page over and write the date. Then I write the word index in the center of the page. I do this so I can easily flip to this page whenever I want to look at the table of contents. Now it's time to start adding content to our journal. One of the most popular things to add to a bullet journal is a future log. A future log is basically just a calendar of upcoming events. You can spread it out over however many pages you want. I like to keep mine relatively small, so I only give myself 1 page per month. At the top of the page, I write the year, and then I write the months across the top. Then I put a vertical line down the center of the page. Then I write the days of the week across the top. Be sure to include the weekend here. Now shade in the days that are in the current month and number the days. Once you're done, go through your calendar and transfer any appointments or events from your phone or computer calendar onto your future log. This is especially important if you use a digital calendar because you want to make sure you don't forget about any events. Now, I like to add a couple of other things to my journal before I move on to the monthly log. The first one is a key. Your key is basically just a legend for your journal. This tells you what different symbols mean. You can come up with your own symbols, or you can look online for inspiration. Here's a list of common bullet journal symbols. As you can see, there are a ton of different symbols that you can use. This list isn't even complete. You can use these symbols for things like tasks, events, notes, and pretty much anything else you can think of. Next, I like to add a yearly overview. This is a big picture view of the year ahead. On this page, I list out any major events or trips that I have coming up. I also like to add a yearly habit tracker. This helps me stay accountable for any habits I want to build or break. I go into more detail about habit trackers in this video, so check it out if you want to learn more about how to make and use a habit tracker. Next, we're going to move on to the monthly log. The monthly log is a list of all of your tasks and events for the month. You can spread it out over however many pages you want. I like to keep mine relatively small, so I only give myself one page per month. At the top of the page, I write the month and year. Then I write the days of the week across the top. I do this so I can easily flip to the weekly log for the day. Then I write the numbers down the side of the page. Now draw a line connecting the days and the numbers. This creates little boxes for each day. Now write the date in the box. Then go through your future log and transfer any events from your future log onto this page. Be sure to do this for every single day. Even if you don't have any events or tasks scheduled, write the date in the box and then move on to the next day. Now let's talk about how to actually use your bullet journal. There are three main components to a bullet journal: a task list, a daily log, and a collection. A task list is basically just a to-do list. You can keep your task list on the same page as your monthly log, or you can keep it separate. I like to keep mine separate so I have a dedicated page for my task list. I also like to color code my task list based on priority. I use a red dot for tasks that are urgent and important, a yellow dot for tasks that are not urgent but are important, and a green dot for tasks that are urgent but not important. If a task is both urgent and important, I write it in red. A daily log is basically just a diary. You can write down anything you want in your daily log. Some people like to write down their thoughts and feelings. Others like to write down events that happened during the day. You can do it however you want. Collections are basically just notebooks within your bullet journal. You can have collections for things like gratitude, habits, self-reflection, or pretty much anything else you can think of. I have an entire video dedicated to collections, so check it out if you want to learn more about them. All right, that's everything you need to get started with bullet journaling. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Also, be sure to click the subscribe button so you never miss one of my videos. I post new videos every single week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.